Run your holoprogram of Vulcan Love Slave Volume 4 and listen to this week's
Initial Thoughts. Part 1. Initial Thoughts. Part 1. Initial Thoughts.
Hey Trekkies, we're talking today about Discovery's Season 4, Episode 9, Rubicon. I'll be firing a full spread of spoilers if you'd like to warp out of the way now. Despite how the counters turn out in this episode, this might be my favorite episode so far this season. It has a lot more Star Trek elements, but it also confirms that we've mostly wasted 2 episodes dragging ourselves through this season. Vance sends Discovery to nab Book and Tarka where they're building their weapon, but thinks Burnham needs a babysitter, which it turns out clearly she does. He assigns Commander Nhan with authority to take over the mission if she feels Burnham is compromised by being too close to Book. We also learn that Barzans have a policy of duty above all, and Nhan in particular just experienced waiting too long to give an order that cost her casualties, so she's got unique motivation to keep Burnham on task. We get our first like in Saru's holocall with his friend with benefits, President T'Rina. I've got yet another dislike this season for an intro that runs more than 10 minutes. In a less than 45-minute show, this is entirely unnecessary. Everything after the meeting with Vance was main episode stuff. We see for only the second time Discovery's cloaking device in use, and that they even have at least one shuttle with a cloaking device. I have another dislike for this whole part of the mission where they send the shuttle in, it doesn't work at all, and they beam them out just in the nick of time. I was excited when Bryce, the least developed of the recurring bridge crew, was named to the away team and that we were going to get a little character development for him and Reese. But it's cut so short with Reese getting most of the line delivery in the scene. I will give a like for the overall episode getting a lot of time on the bridge, with the entire recurring cast including both recurring comm officers. I've got a dislike for Nhan trying to execute her override authority on the mission quite early in the runtime. I get it, she's got a story about not wanting to see another mission end in death because an order was given too late. But the tension between Nhan and Burnham during the first trip to the captain's ready room feels artificial and contrived. Maybe Gene Roddenberry had a point there, about there never being conflict between characters. Now, a really big like that I almost want to give 2 likes to, because it's what really makes this episode worth watching. The cat and mouse game between Burnham and Book inside the DMA feels like the only almost callback in the episode to both TOS Balance of Terror and Wrath of Khan. It's that Hunt for Red October submarine commanders getting into each other's heads kind of thriller that usually plays well in Trek, and this is no exception. During this, Burnham orders Stamets to hand off a task he was working on to Reno so he can do something else. I have a dislike for never actually seeing Reno. I know Tig has limited filming time each season, but so far we've seen her for just a couple of scenes in one episode. Don't bring her up if you're not going to show her, even if it's just a scene of her saying, "Captain acknowledged." Now, in my video during the mid-season break, I made some predictions about who we might see in the Season 5 Captain's Chair of Discovery. I had said my personal favorite was Jet Reno for Captain, but I hadn't thought about a potential Captain Nhan until this episode. I've always liked her character, and was sad to see her go. I'm going to give a general like for her coming back in this episode and showing us that she might absolutely have what it takes to sit in the big chair, when ultimately I think Michael and Saru are going to end up written off the show after the season, and we're going to end up in yet another time period with yet another captain. Nhan does say at the end she wants to come back permanently. Anyway, at the end of the cat and mouse game, it takes Michael flying up to Book's ship in a shuttle and having a sort of face-to-face with him to convince him there's at least 1 week of the DMA being an uninhabited space in which Starfleet can actually make contact with the creators of it. While this moves Book to change his mind, Tarka takes it upon himself to launch the weapon anyway and obliterate the DMA, which makes him and Book true fugitives now. Worst of all, 2 points. You guys just wasted our time for a few episodes. giving out a dislike for that. It was a fun chase, but this season has Game of Thrones level pacing problems. I still think the DMA might be the best idea for an arc we've had in Disco, but the execution has just been botched. There's enough here to be watchable, and unlike some detractors, it's definitely Star Trek. But so far, if I were to rank this season in my other show ranking all live-action Trek, most of the season would be below 500 out of 800 some odd episodes. There are moments of brilliance, but a ton of filler that doesn't really seem to go anywhere. It's very soap opera-y, but at the same time, I still don't know if Lieutenant Nilsson is having Bryce's or Christopher's baby. Because it's not that kind of soap opera, and character development for the recurring bridge crew only involves what we see in this episode. The crew doing their jobs. Now, I'd like to go back to a prediction I made back during episode 5, about Tarka maybe being a former Q. Since that time, his demeanor has continued to be highly Q-like. The casual disregard for life and safety of others, with his wants being the only thing that actually matters to him. He had previously revealed that he wanted to jump dimensions to join a friend or lover or something that had already gone ahead. All we know is it's not the traditional mirror universe. Here he says twice in this episode that he's not seeking jumping to another universe, but returning to it. I think he's a former Q trying to get back into the continuum, but his plan here just ends up with him being a Starfleet fugitive? Let's end on a high note, with the final like for Saru formally exploring his feelings for President Tarina with Culber. In the end, the DMA reappears right where it was before Tarka destroyed it, which means Race 10C is definitely aware of Starfleet's efforts to stop it. Despite how the like and dislike counters came out, I generally enjoy this episode within the confines of this season. There's just a few head-scratching moments in the writing. Let's see if we finally make contact with Species 10C next week, or what the Federation's next move is. Until then, I've been your host, Dustin Wing.